Neighborhood Services Office. And I will go ahead and have our other staff introduce themselves as they present, but I just wanted to do a couple of virtual meeting reminders as we're meeting on Zoom tonight. We are going to be recording the live meeting so we can make it available for playback on the project website. So just to help us with the sound and the quality, we ask that you remain muted with videos off during the presentation, but then we will have an open question and answer session, in which case we'll have you unmute yourself if you want to ask questions, and or you're welcome to join us on video. And si quieres puedes mandar preguntas en español por el chat. So again, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over now to Ambika for the presentation.
Thank you so much, Sana. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us this evening. Once again, for the record, my name is Ambika Adhikari, Community Development, Long Range Planning. And like Sana mentioned, there's a team of staff that we have: Brenda Clark, Sana, myself, Robbie Aaron, and several other people from other departments who can jump in if there are any questions towards the end. So what I'm going to do this evening is very briefly introduce the character area planning process and the content of character area 1. Then I'll also very quickly go over the outcomes of the meetings and surveys that we have conducted so far. And the important element tonight is to talk a little bit about on the draft plan, the content of it, and some examples. It's a document which is about 42 pages long that you might have seen, and about 30 pages is the text and some pictures. And the idea is to seek your input and the feedback on the plan. So we'll discuss a little bit on that plan. And then finally, we'll talk about what are the next steps, when does it go for potential adoption, and then discussions on any questions, any comments that you may have. This is our branding. For those of you who've attended previous meeting, that you know that Papago North Tempe is the branding that we've chosen. And importantly, there's a website, characterareas.tempe.gov, which has all the information, including all the previous meeting notes and the presentations, and the draft plan that we are talking about today, and also the survey that is available. For those of you who are a little bit new to the character area planning process, I will very quickly provide an overview of what a character area plan is, which is basically a policy level plan that comes out of the general plan 2040. It's not regulatory, but the staff, the city, and all of us take it seriously to ensure that the plan gives a direction for any new development, including anything that's put by the city or the private developers. The vision for the plan comes out of the discussions and the meetings that we hold through the public process, mostly from the residents. And the plan begins by defining and identifying character defining elements. There are several character areas in the city. There are 8 of them. Each one of them has some distinct character defining elements. The plan includes that. And most importantly, the plan has design goals and principles that become the reference point and the yardsticks for us to review any new proposals that come through. And the plan is owned by the community, it's their plan, and anyone who proposes any development or new development knows what the city's vision is. So those are the principles that they would design the projects to adhere to. The planning process is highly participatory. This is one of those examples. Those are the 8 character areas in the city of Tempe. The solid color ones are the areas for which the character area plans have been completed, adopted by the council. Number 2 and 6 are the 2 remaining character areas that we intend to do the planning in future. The character area number 1 on top is the one that we are talking about today. And there's a little bit of a blow up map on the right side showing that all the lands north of Loop 202 freeway is where the character area 1 lies. The land within the city boundary north of 202. A quick glance on how big is the character area one. It's about 3.35 square miles. The 2020 census, some of the data is out. The population in the character area one is slightly less than 10,000. And many other stats and data that are shown here in the table are pretty much in keeping with the proportion of the overall city of Tempe. The status of planning, we are 6 months into it. We are kind of looking at the draft and revising it and taking it to the council. The process started on March 15th with a kickoff meeting. So that was the official start of the planning process. And then we did a public survey subsequently, seeking people's input. I'll go over a little bit of those details in the ensuing slides. Then we held several meetings, including virtual meetings and also in-person meetings at Papago Park. We also conducted 2 focus group meetings, one with the nonprofit groups, and the other one is the business community. Then just recently, after the meeting on the May 11th, we put out a survey called Dotocracy, giving people dots to vote on what they want and democratic process. So that's Dotocracy, which ended in June 30. I'll provide some examples of the outcome of that. We've been making presentation to boards and commissions. As of tonight, we'll be completing 12 of those. And the plan that hopefully you had a chance to look that we're discussing today was released to public prior to the work study session of the council on September 2. The plan was released on August 27. That 26th is a typo. A quick review of the outcomes of the meetings and surveys. The first survey that we did was immediately after the kickoff meeting on March 15th. It was pretty well responded to. There were 91 respondents. And we had 7 questions that we asked of them so that we can begin to define the planning process and element of the plan. The first question, there are just 2 examples that I'm providing. The first question was, what amenities and enhancement would you like to see within the Papago North Tempe? And we had provided some options, and we also had provided an opportunity for people to write in. In the options that we have provided, people voted differently, starting with the open spaces, canal side trails, parks, streetscape. And then in the write-in area, people wrote about the need for better security and reduction in the transient population, more bike lanes, and those kind of elements. Then another example is the question number 2 out of those 7 questions. I'm only going to show these 2. What kind of land usage would you like to see increased in Papago North Tempe? Not surprisingly, open space was still number 1, then residential, commercial, office, light industrial, and people wrote in that they want to see the county island annexed. As you know, there's something like 63 acres of land, just pretty much at the heart of the character area 1 that belongs to the county. And then there are many other comments focusing on art and asking the city to see what we can do for the rundown stores, liquor stores, adult entertainment, and then also how to enhance walkability. Those are the 2 examples. There are 7 questions. All the details are still on the website that I spoke about. Our public outreach has been very extensive. We've been mailing postcards to all the property owners and the families, households in the community, something like 4,300 at a time. We've done that many times. There are some examples how we sent out the postcards at the kickoff meeting, and the second one on that June 14th and 26th in-person meetings. In addition to the postcard, our engagement also heavily relies on the social media and the electronic medium. There are some examples on how we're able to use Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, and also emails, and what was the reach and how engaged the people were. Then the second part, when we asked the survey based on the first survey, we came up with 17 different areas that people are interested in that will become the part of the character area 1 planning. And for each one of those topical areas, for the Dotocracy, when we asked people to vote, we gave them not only the topic, but also an initial preamble, like the paragraph that you see here written, and then also some visuals on what we meant by, for example, connectivity or streetscape or public art. They're not always easy to represent aesthetically, but gives you an idea on what we're looking for when we talk about landscape treatment or mobility. So there are 16 or 17 different elements that we ask people to vote on. Just the quick examples of this. All of these, by the way, is again on the website. And then the votes from the people on the survey were recorded. It was very well responded again. There were 160 people who participated in the survey and then responded to the survey. So when we first asked them, out of those 17 different elements, starting from shade, extreme heat, landscape, climate change, all the way to quality design, how would they spend their 10 dots? This is how people voted, starting with shade and extreme heat management. But they did spend their dots on all of them, although a little more on the sustainability type of elements, but they spent their dots on all the different topics. We are also cognizant of approaching the younger people, the youth groups. So we went to the Laird Elementary School and did the same survey. And it was also well attended, well participated, 60 respondents. And this is how they voted graphically, starting from more sustainability related elements all the way to the balanced land use. So here is the main part of today's presentation. We want to get your input on the draft plan, which is now publicly available. This is what we want to refine going forward. And when we are able to address people's comment, we want to take it to the City Council. So the plan that is about 42 pages long document with 30 pages of actual text has different sections. The first section is the introduction, purpose of the plan, and existing character. There are a couple of pages on that. There's a description. And then we also describe how the plan has been developed through a public process. We provide a summary of meetings and what was available. The appendices will give the details, but the plan itself only provides the highlights. The most important element of the plan is the planning and design principles. There were 17 elements that we started with, as you saw in the previous slides. By the time we did the draft, those elements are now 15 because some of them were combined for the ease of reading. And the details are also in the appendices that we will attach as the plan goes forward. It will provide more examples of the visual design principles and pictures, socioeconomic data, and also the public input summary. Now, just an example on the first section, when we talk about the historic resources, character defining elements, there is a map that is provided in the plan. There's also a list of the important amenities, assets, and the resources in the plan area. And there's a description of that. It's just a bullet point, starting with the Eisendrath House, all the way to the older and new residential district, different characters of the districts. The plan, being a character area plan, is full of visuals. We will add more pictures as we go along. As much as possible, staff has been taking all the pictures in the area so that they become more recent. Although the plan would have a couple of historic pictures, the vast majority of the pictures and the visuals will be the pictures that we take that represent the character of the area, as you can see some of those here. Then the plan goes into details of outlining those 15 different design principles that were kind of amalgamated from those 17 that I spoke about. And then we start with dividing the character area 1 plan in sub areas, because each one of them have slightly different characteristics, and then going through historic preservation, neighborhood character preservations, all the way to climate change and public health friendly planning. Each one of those elements are described in detail. In average, there's 1 page of write-up in each one of them. There's a preamble on what we mean by, let's say, landscape and shade, and a list of principles that we would like the new design and new investment to comply with. And it says, how it will fit and become compatible with the existing character. Here is just one slide extracted, a summary of one of those elements, which is public art out of those 15 elements. There is a brief goal and preamble. I've only extracted a couple sentences. It's a little longer in the document. And then there is a list of the principles on how we achieve that goal in the community. Any new design investment that the city does, we want those principles to be adhered to. Then it's not only in the text that we describe the design principles, we also provide some visuals on how that text could be translated into a public aesthetics. And here are some examples. In the plan, there are more. And then going into the revision of the plan, will provide more of those images. These are real images, mostly from the city of Tempe, but there are also some images from the valley where we think the best practice representation could be available somewhere else. Like you see, the shaded walkway in development example is from the Caroline Commons, and the green roof and walls is from Optima. The remainder of the pictures are from City of Tempe itself. And we have several questions for you. It's all open-ended, but just to give you some cue, there are two questions that we are putting forward for you. How do you like the draft plan? Is there any comment that you want to make? Is there something that you have, a critical angle of it? And then any suggestions that you have on the draft plan. And we can discuss as much as you like today, but we can also receive the responses to your comments and critiques of the plan going forward by email or on the phone. And we'll also have some other meetings and public meetings, but you can always reach out to us. The draft plan survey is available until the September 19th. But that's something that we put. If need be, we can also expand that. But more importantly, all the way to the adoption of the plan, we are complete, eyes and ears open for you to provide any input that you like to provide us. I go to next step in timeline. Prior to that, just wanted to make a quick comment that we've heard on all of these meetings and boards and commission meetings, we've heard a lot of things, very valuable input on the plan. And sometimes it may not be related directly to what this plan can do, because this is more design-oriented plan, policy plan. You've talked about homelessness, you've talked about security in the area, and then you have told us about your concern about traffic and so on. So we have listened to them, we have compiled them, we have taken what you have put in the survey. Everything that you have provided goes someplace relevant. We have been forwarding it, sharing it with the appropriate departments like parks, or transportation, or the human services. So everything that you say, even if it doesn't directly relate to the plan, is something that the city would be at least reviewing. And in terms of the timeline, officially started on March 15th, almost exactly 6 months ago. Then several meetings that we listed before, public meetings, virtual meetings, in-person meetings, pop-up meetings, focus group meetings, youth group, the surveys and everything. And then the presentation to the boards and commissions. We went initially to 10 of them, but we are also going back to 3 of them. So that will be altogether 13th minimum. And then we want to take your input. We also went to the city council on September 2nd, got some of their guidance. And based on all of that, this draft plan will continue to be revised. And then we want to take this draft plan to the city for a potential possible adoption and their decision, hopefully by December. But if it takes a little longer, very early in 2022, January or February. That is basically a brief presentation, deliberately done so that we can have discussions and chat. Here is a slide that gives you contact for myself, Ambika Adhikari, Robbie Aaron, Sona Warner, Brenda Clark, email. And if you go to the characterareas.tempe.gov, you can also find a phone number, email. You can contact us through that platform also. that is the brief presentation, and we just want to open it for any discussions. You can write on in chat box, or you can raise your hand, and Sana would be moderating that. Sana, it's yours now.
Okay, thank you, Ambika. So as Ambika said, I've been putting messages in the chat. So if you see those pop up, that's where you can type anything and we can get the question answered. Or you can raise your hand if you're on a desktop or laptop. If you hover over your name, then the raise hand icon will show up. Or if you're on your mobile device, if you hit the chat button, then you'll see the raise hand function there as well. So either way, it's for your preference, but we're here to answer any questions you may have. And then I also did put in the chat the link, the direct link for the plan, the link for the comments, and then the email and phone number Ambika referenced. If you think of a question tomorrow or later on this week, we're happy to answer them then. So Ambika, I'm not seeing any questions or raised hands.
Okay. Okay, I will just add that we are open. You can contact us anytime. You can go to the website, characterarea.tempe.gov. There is a draft plan that is available out there. I think someone might have shared you the direct link. There was also an email that was sent out. Please take a look at it. Please reach out to us any way you want. And please participate in that survey by September 19th. And even if you have anything else that concerns you about the character area that may not potentially be addressed by this plan, let us know so that we can share it with other departments. Thank you very
So
much.
Ambika, wait, we've got a hand.
Hi,
So go ahead,
can you hear
Rebecca.
me? Thank
We
you.
can.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're good.
Crying baby, so I missed the opportunity earlier. I was just wondering, I mean, I'm guessing it may be a little too late, too far along, but it's kind of disappointing that the north shore of the lake isn't included in our character area. Is there a reason for that? Because I feel like, I mean, we use the lake all the time. I would assume that the residents north of the lake are probably the ones who would want the input on the north shore more than those south of the lake.
I can respond to that. The character area boundaries were drawn a long time ago for the 8 different character areas. So the north side is included on character area 3. There is a plan, that was the last plan that we did. But we do mention, because it's very close to 202, we do mention about the lake and the north side a little bit in the plan, but you'll find a little more description on character area 3 plan.
And that same website that we shared has all of the plans that have been completed. So then you'll
Okay.
see those as well.
Are we able to put input like in on that character area if we don't live there?
Oh, absolutely. It's for anyone who might visit or others. Now, those are already done though. So Rebecca, what you would
Okay.
want to do is at some point, there's opportunity to revisit those, and Ambika might speak more to that, but they aren't meant to be static documents. They would be updated at some point in the future as we go along.
Absolutely, Sana. If you have something, you can always contact us. Right now, we're doing this character area 1 plan, but early 2022, we start working on the general plan update that we do every 10 years. So those kind of elements could potentially be also addressed in the general plan coming forward. So we'll reach out to you early in 2022. If you have some important points to make, you can tell us and we can see where it fits. And then like Sana said, those character area plans might also be reviewed as we go along if the city council so wants. And at that time also we can revisit that.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay. So Sana, looks like that's it, Dana, for today.
Looks like that's it. Yes.
Everybody gets a little extra time for themselves.
We really appreciate you guys joining us, and hopefully you can take a look at the plan and provide input for it. Thank you.
Thank you.